I just got back from seeing a movie called 50/50 and I wanted to report on that. Basically, I've been crying a lot this weekend because I saw The Lion King 3D as well, and yeah, between 50/50 and that, definitely some puffy eyes today for sure. So the plot of 50/50 is as simple as a 27-year-old guy named Adam, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, gets diagnosed with a serious form of cancer, and then the movie is about how he deals with this after the diagnosis all the way through in terms of emotional struggles, psychological struggles, and physical struggles. He has a best friend played by Seth Rogen, a not so nice girlfriend played by Bryce Dallas Howard. We are taking a trip through the film with one specific character and what he's going through, and that's Adam, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I really believed in Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character and Seth Rogen's characters very early on and very strongly. I was very invested in them early on. I recognized their chemistry immediately, so I was getting into it. You realize pretty early on in the film, by the tone of it, that as much as there's going to be jokes throughout, there's going to be some pretty heavy stuff in it as well. One of the things about this movie that I struggled with was that throughout the first half of the movie, the main set of characters that you're kind of seeing the most, at least I felt that they were on screen the most, is Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's obviously the focus of the whole thing, and Seth Rogen's character, and Bryce Dallas Howard's character is in it a lot too. So yeah, the character that Bryce Dallas Howard plays is pretty despicable. I moved the stripper pole that was behind me. It wasn't a stripper pole, it was a lamp. So anyway, you are not supposed to like Bryce Dallas Howard's character. She's supposed to be terrible. As much as I was aware of the fact that this character was needed for the plot to develop properly, some of the things she did were just so insanely, they were evil, like completely terrible what she was doing to Adam. Like, she's giving Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character rides to and from the hospital for his treatments. She just leaves him there for like 4 hours at a time and then just gives some lame reason why she didn't want to go in with him. And it's just something like, oh, I don't like the vibe, I don't want to get the bad vibe of the hospital in our world, or in their little world of their relationship. And even characters in the movie are pointing that out, like, what? That's the stupidest reason I've ever heard. Like, no one likes going into the hospital. You're doing it to be supportive of somebody and to be a good girlfriend or even a good friend. One night she leaves them there. It's like out in the cold, in the dark, and she's like way late to pick them up from this thing. And I was just like, I don't know. That's a little ridiculous to me. It was just straight up despicable. So I get it, like, that it was important to the plot and her character was important to the story and the relationships in the story, but it was taking me out of the movie at first, because it wasn't just her. It was also like Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Seth Rogen go to a club and they meet like these two girls, and the way like those two girls were acting was just like, ugh, I couldn't stand it. Ugh, like, something better change about the female characters in this movie, because this is not working for me. Some of the characters I'm like loving. I believe in them. They're raw. They're real. They seem like they could be real people. But then there's all these girls in there, and I'm like, who are these people? That's what I was asking myself. I was like, who are these people? Would these characters ever exist? I'm like, I can't imagine guy or girl behaving that way. But maybe these people are out there. A female character comes into play who is in the form of Joseph Gordon-Levitt's Adam's therapist at the hospital to help him deal with all the psychological implications of dealing with this horrible thing that he's going through. And she is a great female character. So great. So when those other girls kind of get phased out and she gets phased more in, I was more and more into it. And it helped solve that problem for me. Another great female character is Adam's mom, who's played by Angelica Houston. I love Angelica Houston. And some of my favorite moments in the film in general were in between him and Angelica Houston, because they seemed so real. They really seemed raw. I was getting the emotion more and more. But really, the driving force of emotion through this movie is Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he is fabulous. He is so fabulous in this movie because he was the one inducing the tears. And I guess that's what, I'm not an actor, but I guess that's what you'd want as an actor, huh? Like, you want to make people feel the emotion, and he did. I really, like, that's why I had such a hard time dealing with those like the girlfriend. I really had a hard time with it because I was so invested in him emotionally that I was like, ugh, like you feel for him so deeply. And that's all because of his great acting. And Seth Rogen's great too. I think the two have great chemistry as best friends. I'm sure a lot of people are saying that, but it's definitely true, I feel. And I love Seth Rogen. He's just the kind of actor, I just want to give him a big hug and say thank you for bringing so much joy to the world, because he's a very joyful actor to me, and very funny, and he just brings a lot of light into the world. So I want to talk for a minute about what this movie meant for me in the end and what I took away from it. Because yes, it's about a very specific event in someone's life, being cancer. It's what this movie made me think about and brought up in me personally was the fact that I think it's a movie about people in their 20s. The main character, Adam, he's supposed to be 27. I know that they mentioned the therapist is supposed to be 24. That they were trying to portray with this character was how uncertain things are when you're in your 20s. Because if you think about Adam's character, he's not living with his family anymore, as a lot of people in their 20s aren't. You're either just transitioning away from home or you have been for a while, depending on your situation. You're probably maybe trying to assert your independence financially and emotionally and build your own life, basically. It's really hard sometimes, and it gets really lonely sometimes because you don't have, you haven't built up your own family yet. So I think Adam's character really exemplified this because he has a mom who's dealing with a serious issue at home, so he doesn't want to bring things on her. So even if you feel kind of lonely out there in your 20s in the world, trying to make it in the world, that you most likely have people in your life that love you and you have to lean on them for support. What Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character really learned in the end was that it was okay to open up to the people that were really close with him, and it was okay to lean on them for support and be really vulnerable. And he realizes that his best friend really is there for him and really cares about him. And it made me think of my best friend and made me think of how you just have to really appreciate all those relationships you do have in your life. I hope I'm not making it sound like this movie is way serious all the way through. It definitely has I laughed a lot in this movie. I laughed a lot and I smiled a lot, but I also got teary-eyed a lot. And that makes for a great movie. And one of the other main things I think you will leave with is just that when you see somebody struggling with something this serious for 2 hours or however long the movie is, you do walk out also being reminded of how precious life is and how you have to live each day to the fullest and really appreciate what you have around you. I'm going to rate this movie an 8.5 out of 10. I'm not going to go quite as high as I did on Drive, because Drive, I was so electrified by it when I left, and that's really important to me personally. But I have to go 8.5. I have to go high because it's such a well done movie, and it's really well written, just really well written, really well directed. The acting is what stood out for me the most. I hope people go and see it. I'm kind of curious to see how well this does with box office revenue and such. So please, if you watch this, leave me some interesting and thought-provoking comments. Particularly about like Bryce Dallas Howard's character and how she was acting. Did anyone else kind of get a weird vibe from that and think, like when she was doing the stuff she was doing, did you kind of think, what? Like how could you do, like how could a human do that? I don't know how you could do that. Am I being overly dramatic about it? Is it something somebody would really do? I don't know. I just don't know. Really genuinely curious to know if anyone else in their 20s had the movie resonate with them. And I just want to say I really appreciate anyone who clicks on this video and listens to what I have to say, or has listened to my other review on Drive, or my other silly videos about just general things, one of which is about The Dark Knight, because I couldn't help myself. Love it as well if you would subscribe to my channel. Really appreciate it. It's not just like I'm just like, oh, I don't care, you know, I don't pay attention. I'm a really big fan of YouTube. I have been for years now. I've wanted to start a channel and make some videos for a really long time. It took me so much. I had to work up so much courage to start doing this and get into the swing of doing it, and learning the editing software, but it's something I wanted to do for such a long time. In front of the camera type of person. I am a behind the scenes type of person. So this is a big deal for me, so I appreciate people watching. I appreciate people subscribing. You're awesome if you do. Thank you for watching.